Okay, let's talk about Yemen. It's one of those conflicts that for many of us feels a world away, but the truth is its shockwaves are being felt everywhere. This is a really complex and honestly devastating situation, and in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how a civil war spiraled into a full-blown global crisis.
So, it all boils down to this one huge question. How did a civil war, a fight contained within just one country's borders,
How did that become a global crisis? One that lands on the desks of world leaders, messes with global trade, and creates one of the worst humanitarian disasters of our time. Well, to figure that out, we've got to start with who's actually doing the fighting.
So, let's dive into the key players. And right off the bat, you need to know this is not a simple two-sided fight. Not at all. It's more like this tangled web of different groups and, crucially, powerful outside countries. Okay, let's break this down. First, you've got the Houthi rebels, a really powerful movement that gets its backing from Iran. Then, fighting them, you have the official internationally recognized government of Yemen, and they're heavily supported by Saudi Arabia. But wait, there's more. There's also a third major force, these southern factions, and they're backed by the United Arab Emirates. See what's happening? This is what turns a civil war into a proxy war. You have these big regional powers, Iran, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, basically using Yemen as a battleground for their own rivalries. And that, right there, that's the first huge step in how this whole thing escalated. And while all these major powers are busy fighting for influence, it's the ordinary people of Yemen who are paying an absolutely unimaginable price. This is where the conflict shifts from a political game to a truly staggering human crisis.
The scale of this is it's really hard to wrap your head around. We're talking about millions of people, millions, forced to leave everything behind, fleeing their homes. They've literally become refugees in their own country. An entire generation is just being uprooted by this constant violence.
And if that wasn't bad enough, on top of that, you have millions more facing the daily threat of starvation and the spread of diseases that should be totally preventable. Why? Because the war has absolutely crippled the country's ability to do the most basic things, like feed its people or provide even simple health care. The long-term damage here is just profound. It's not just the immediate danger of the fighting. It's the systematic destruction of everything a society needs to just function. We're talking about hospitals, schools, clean water systems, roads, all of it, gone. The very foundation of the country is literally being erased. But here's the crucial thing. This tragedy, it didn't just stay inside Yemen. This is the exact moment a national crisis starts to spill over its borders and create much, much bigger problems for everyone else.
So now we're zooming out, because this war started sending these huge ripples across the entire region, shaking up its neighbors and messing with some really critical economic lifelines.
So what does that actually look like? Well, for starters, you've got countries right next door, like Saudi Arabia and Oman, facing huge security threats right on their doorstep. Then there's the economy. The fighting threatens the Red Sea, which is one of the most important shipping lanes in the entire world. Think about all the oil and goods that pass through there. It's a huge deal. And politically, it's constantly shaking up that really delicate balance of power between all the Gulf states.
And that growing chaos in the region is exactly why the rest of the world couldn't ignore it anymore. This is where the stakes go from regional to truly global.
So, why does this matter to, say, someone in Europe or the Americas? Well, for one, it's a huge headache for international diplomacy, forcing global powers to tiptoe through that complex web of alliances we talked about. There's also this constant nagging fear that this proxy war could suddenly ignite into a much bigger, direct war in the Middle East. And finally, on a human level, it's a critical test for the world's ability to step in and help during a massive humanitarian disaster. A test that, frankly, is often being failed.
So you see the progression, right? It started as a civil war, then it became a proxy war, then a regional security threat, and now it's a global challenge. The crisis in Yemen is just this powerful, tragic reminder of how interconnected our world really is. Those ripples we mentioned, they're now being felt pretty much everywhere. And all of this leaves us with the biggest, most difficult question of all. When the stakes are this high for the people of Yemen, for the entire region, and for the world, is there any real path to peace? Finding an answer to that, well, that's the urgent challenge facing all of us.